So yesterday I spent 4 hours, armed only with snowshoes and a beer, writing a message in my field. And that message is, "Fuck Putin, dickhead." As a Finnish-Canadian Karelian descendant, my family in Finland and in Karelia suffered greatly at the hands of Russia during the wars. In the 1920s, my family went through the ethnic cleansing, and my great-grandfather's sister and his mother were taken on trains and shipped to Siberia. The citizens that were taken were all healthy, able-bodied, and those who could do work. Anyone who was too young, too sick, and too old were left behind. She, fortunately, was able to escape when they allowed people to relieve themselves on the tracks, because they didn't want to spread diseases in the trains by having people, defecate inside. This is also when they would take the babies born on these trips and leave them on the tracks to be used as wolf food, as the soldiers would say. At this time, she escaped, and she walked back, following the tracks to her village, only to find that her father had died because they left him, he was sick. And the 2-year-old that was there was alone. But thankfully, one of the neighbors found her, also an old resident who was abandoned. My great-grandfather during the war and his sons were commandos, and they would go into towns in Russia and they would destroy roads and bridges and burn down buildings and liberate horses when they would get the chance. They had no food, they would walk, they would ski, and all of these things I thought of as I walked probably about 10 to 15 kilometers yesterday, according to a pedometer. They didn't even have food, and they would call boiled water soup, and they would add in rocks for minerals. When my great-grandfather Pekka was, being turned over to the Russians by the end of the Finnish-Russian conflict in the war, one of the Russian soldiers that was talking to him about how he knew how to get through Russia and go through all these paths, and he wouldn't reveal the secrets and his knowledge of how he could get into Russia undetected and, be effective as an assassin during the war. When the Russian soldier demanded that, he said, tell him, or else risk being sent to Siberia, Pekka leapt across the table, grabbed the man by the throat, and began strangling him with his bare hands, saying, "Not before I send you to Siberia first." After they wrestled Pekka off this man, of course the Russian said he'll be back, and only, there are going to be more of them to interrogate him further. Before they had the chance to interrogate him, the Finnish policemen that had been there during the interrogation warned Pekka, and they had to escape into Sweden. Pekka sent his children ahead, the 3 boys, in a boat with this woman that was kind of like Pekka's girlfriend after his wife had passed away. And they crossed the river between Sweden and Finland, and there's a log border. So the older boys had to get out into the water and lift the boat so that it could ferry across the logs, all the while they're being tracked and hunted by the Russians behind them. Pekka eventually did find them, and we were free. If it wasn't for that policeman coming to warn us, I wouldn't be here. None of my family would be. It's hard to see because I have no drone, and I did it all free foot and with beer, but the message is clear. Fuck Putin, dickhead.